It's unusual to see a team under-deliver 2 times in a row. I think that was a wake-up call.
Oh yeah, I think it almost had to be. It's interesting for me that the swap from 100 Thieves, just because throughout the qualifier, we saw them playing with this composition and absolutely battered MIBR with it. So it's like, there's definitely been times where I think this has worked for them.
5 players down through long, a direct attack, and Boostio, the one with the pressure on, but rotation's already in. Asuna here, dropped immediately, and another following up as 100 Thieves lose most players on the site. Cryo managing to fly under the radar at least, picks up one. The Paranoia delivered, gets him a second, but they're losing players second by second. Xander in for the double, leaves him in a 1v1. And a close bar with the HP low. It doesn't matter. ZJC able to take it across the line.
Yeah, someone who came over, I believe, from Tyloo, and has definitely shown some promise in the past. Of course, you might be wondering, have I seen this guy before? It is the name change away from what was quite a few more letters thrown into the mix. It just slips my mind. I think Clinton had it down, so I'll wait for him to come back, and he'll be able to let you know of that one. But no, a strong showing in the pistol from him, and what I like to see as well is just the Kankan show already getting off to a good start. The fact that he's so aggressive in that pacing. I think especially on a map like this, if you can get him rolling, he's going to be a terrifying force. But the same could be said for Cryo. He still did some damage on the site. Of course, in the best of one stage, we were talking about the value of the pistols, and it doesn't change at least per map, but of course, a lot more of an opportunity to reset into the next if things don't go your way.
On that 1-0 start, attack looking to report towards the A site. Fortunately, Kankan's already been taken down. Cryo with a classic pick, but there's plenty of players a little bit further away, able to clean up some of those fights, able to deny any retrieval of weaponry. And 100 Thieves, well, they don't have much of a choice. Classics in hand. A situation where obviously we're not expecting a ton of damage, but anything from this point forward will stand to benefit them. Taking it nice and slow, of course, is that attacking side. Wary of pistols lurking around any corner, and for good reason. Xander almost getting one with the element of surprise.
Yeah, luckily, got Smoggy to watch his back. For EU, getting out of the smoke shouldn't be easy. He's at least going to get the info of where these remaining players are, but it's nobody to clear out that final pick. A little bit dangerous in the early stages of the round, and some decent damage done, unfortunately, for the side of 100 Thieves. They keep all the weapons over. They're going to come in with 5 rifles for the next. Of course, not quite in the Vandal and Phantom camp, so the buy for the defensive side will be that little bit better, but clearing out, they're still going to have to be quite careful with the caliber of player that's on the other side.
Yeah, this is really where the game will be a little bit meatier, I suppose. A solid start for EDG, a 2-0 up, but this round, quite a bit of promise.
Okay.
That's
all right.
Unfortunate way to lose a player off rip. He's just taking him down through the window. Okay, already one player down. That's going to be the Outlaw left on the floor as they trade off to take the Guardian. But still, 2 Guardians, 2 Bulldogs, and an A site mostly open. Decent shooting chance. They've slowed it down, though.
Yeah, and also they've reclaimed the space on the A site. I think 100 Thieves making a very good read early on of where they're likely to double back to with the map control that was lost. I do like that spam. It's one of the most common spams in the game, but with teams regularly wanting to go for these pacier B hits in round number 3, especially when you have weaker weapons, I think it's such a powerful initial play from EU, and it's about as free a kill as you're ever going to get. For now, though, after some initial presence towards that A side, they've managed to make it into C, where there is no resistance. It's a full retake setup for 100 Thieves, which, hey, I don't mind it. Look to use that extra personnel, but the plant is actually seemingly going to be that little bit more aggressive. They're planting for the spawn and looking to push it, but they are walking into pretty much all the defense.
I'm out of here.
This is a difficult scenario with Asuna jumping and spraying. Still, it ends up remarkably close. A couple of picks from the side put it down to 2 alive on 100 Thieves. You know, considering, what was it, a 4v2, 5v2 at that point? And Asuna just goes, I'm going to jump in and start shooting around. I don't know what gave him that idea, but, well, if it works, it works.
I feel like there's always been something like that when watching Arsenar as well. Like, just where he'll go for these, like, you see him do something, you know, like that doesn't make sense when watching anyone else play.
What was that?
Said JC, welcome to North America. You're in for a treat, but no, I think the hero of the round is still EU. Like, I think you can look at this squad, and obviously, historically, and even in regular times, like, Cryo has been an incredible player, but I think someone you always have to highlight is EU. They had a fantastic game yesterday versus Fnatic, even in defeat, and has brought a hell of a lot of value to this squad since joining. And that's the other thing, when you look at 100 Thieves, is like the caliber of these players. You're talking about champions winners, contenders as well, with the likes of Exet. Expectations are still pretty high, even if the success hasn't been there for a while.
A minute left on the clock, and you can see Chichu pushing into that space on B, looking for an opportunity. The drone to go through the doors, clear that player up close, and the judge, not something you're going to want to challenge, but this is all just... What? I was going to say it's all posturing. It's just them feeling out the space. You've gotten a wallbang kill there over towards the doors. The judge down, and this puts a lot of pressure on 100 Thieves on that side of the map. I would have thought that they rotate out of that A site, but they're still very much expecting EDG to take it there. Well, we see that movement towards the C site, where now Boostio is set up, and has a hell of a challenge on his hands without that garage control.
It almost feels like he needs to get 2 here as a minimum. There's nobody else even remotely close, and he gets nothing. ZJC, another high-impact kill. We saw in the pistol. He basically won it for them, and now this round's looking done. I think the remaining players on 100 Thieves are almost forced to save, and it feels a bit silly with how, well, sort of just 2 kills have gone the other way, but you look at the finances, you got a couple of players who can maybe invest into like a Guardian, a Bulldog, or something of the likes, or maybe Cryo can drop a proper rifle over, but if they don't save these 3 weapons, the chances are they're not going to be able to have a buy in the next round, and I think EDG have made that realization. Okay, nobody's come around this position. We need to clear these guns out.
And that they will. A full swing into spawn, takes down 1. The other's backing off. You can see Asuna up in heaven and already sprinting away from that big push coming down. They should be able to get those 2 across the line without too much of an issue, but yeah, it's a weird round. You look at 100 Thieves there. They have their garage and C player. They have a 3 stack on A early, despite sound being made towards garage. And it's this reveal here. No, it wasn't. It was smoked off. They actually blocked the reveal and still was able to get
Never mind. He just spammed it.
Yeah, we switched away. We didn't see it in the moment, but it was a blind spam
crazy.
through the wall. That's unreal.
You gotta be a little bit tilted when that happens, because that's also maybe a little bit of sweet justice with the spam that came through a couple of rounds ago through the wall, but that one's more absurd, if anything. It's a straight walk up. Like, okay, he took so much damage early, but what? What is that? That kill couldn't see a thing. Just takes the head clean off. They only had a couple of guns to play with in this scenario, but it seems to have worked out for them. Blink and you miss it. 100 Thieves break back.
Well, Asuna's taken over in that one. A straight push down, a stun that perfectly delayed those big swings, a double spray down, and a full blind spray for the third.
I always wonder if the third kill is like, maybe he could see slightly more in his POV, but I don't think he could.
No. He might have seen Tracer.
Oh, he
the
could,
gun just
a
about.
tiny bit, but that's still a fantastic shot from him.
Unbelievable. And here, you know, they've been pretty direct in taking the A plays, then A space into slow mid push and garage push. So the idea there from 100 Thieves to go down on C, they probably thought they'd get free space. And instead, they had a perfectly timed push, great utility. Following up into this round, the same thing, direct A play. Opening pick is wonderful. Xander caught after 1, but there's plenty more players to fill in that space. And 100 Thieves, now that we're seeing that little bit of aggression coming out of them off rip, they seem to be a different team altogether.
Yeah, I think that maybe in some of the early rounds, they were showing a bit too much respect to EDG. Like, and you can understand it. They're champions winners. You're talking about Kankan, the man with the most aura on the planet. Like, he will literally stand up and sing after winning a champions MVP. Like, it really doesn't get any better than that. But I think with this composition, you almost have to show that little bit of extra disrespect. Like, I'm going to sprint down, I'm going to take these fights. And, well, The last couple of rounds are getting confident. I will say, for me, very happy to see Boostio back on an international stage. I just think that he has so much more flair than anyone else. I've seen this round before.
Yeah, it's a little slower, a little more tempered. The paranoia primed and ready, fired through by Smoggy to try and delay. This time EDG a bit more ready. They hadn't put all their eggs in one basket with a big C long swing. They waited it out. And as a result, relatively even footing with that pick from Chichu. That's opened the B site. That's given info on Cryo as well, so no jump scare for him. And they'll go right back towards this C site, up against EU, who was their standout player in their opening matchup here at EWC. And you see why, connecting 2 solid shots and leaving Chichu to pick up a 3K. There's a minute to do so, but they know exactly where he is.
I like this as well. It gives them an opportunity to sort of group up and actually play this one together. A split 1v1 for Chichu, the guy's terrifying. There's a real chance that he takes that round home. Instead, even though they haven't managed to do something with the ult other than information, the main thing is both players are now playing off of each other. This 2v1 has just become so much more difficult for G2 to try and win, and that's incredibly well played. And again, another high-impact round from EU, a second 3K that he's added to the table, and I believe that's now them taking the lead.
It's one of those moments, really, where you see that, like, the coaching staff maybe would have even thought about calling a pause coming out of round 4, like leaving B site completely open and stacking heavy towards A, expecting EDG to run the same round again and again, and even playing passive on that stack. It was a terrible idea, and it was one that, you know, it's a gamble, because if they do go A, great, but when they don't, when EDG play the map, it's an easy win. And I think that they've obviously heard the players communicating that, okay, we need to play a little bit more aggressive. We need to make a little bit more aggro control in those early rounds. And no need for a pause, because they had the right ideas in between those rounds. Again, the early aggression gets 100 Thieves the advantage. Now a 5 versus 4 to play with. Still a couple ultis that could make this, at least turn this back in EDG's favor a little bit. The Rolling Thunder for ZJC. The Hunter's Fury for Nobody as well, and clearing out these spaces, but they need something to go their way soon.
It is just this aggression and re-aggression, though. You think you've managed to survive that initial hit, that you could see EDG are trying to slow things down to be more prepared for the way that 100 Thieves are playing, but it doesn't seem to be working for them. And Arsena has just been incredible with that first bullet accuracy. It's some of the shakiest aim I've ever seen in my life, but somehow manages to make it look even better than just someone hitting those first initial one-taps. And while for Smoggy, he can take the spike if he wanted
30
to.
seconds left.
But I don't think he's going to do that in a 1 versus 5. And if anything, maybe just holding on to the gun will be a choice. It's difficult, though, because I think the way 100 Thieves are playing, you can see the EDG are currently adapting their game to try and counter it. And because of that, some of the early success they had in like the pistol and these more direct, aggressive takes, that's what was working for them on the attack side. They can't do that because they might just run into Arsena's bullets or a wall bang from EU. Like, they have to be a little bit more tentative, but that's actually kind of messing up their own game plan.
This opening fight was interesting as well, because you look at some of the others like the C long play where, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Normally you have a ton of utility. This time it was just a drone sent up through the smoke, and then Asuna goes, oh yeah, I'll just run it down at him. And of course they're jumping out of the way to avoid the reveal, to avoid being spammed by the reveal of the drone afterwards. They don't expect this guy to just come out swinging, and that shows really the difference as these rounds keep going. As we hit 4 in a row for 100 Thieves, the confidence is now sky high. They don't need those 3 pieces of utility to go for that fight. They're willing to just grab the reveal and immediately scrap. At least Asuna is.
Yeah, of course, why not? Why not? With the success he's had already on the defensive side, you can understand why they're going to continue this aggression. Paranoia set up for the 1-2 punch of the double duelist. Any contact in that direction will be a problem, and they're leaving Boostio basically just alone for information. Of course, there is a gate crash up top, which could be available. Now, in terms of finances, this round is incredibly weak for EDG, but they do have some ults, and that's what you have to be wary of. A Rolling Thunder that potentially gets you a gun, a Hunter's Fury placed in the right position, and this could get dangerous, but you can tell that EDG have a good read on the economy. They are playing a lot more passive than they have been. And because of that, EDG must just be sat there going, "Ow, well, we've kind of just wasted a minute."
It's another one of those rounds where, you know, a risk is being taken. It's being covered now by Xander, but most of the time he stood there, paranoia in hand. The B-side contact would work wonderfully for EDG, but it's a gamble in where they take it. Towards the C site through Garage is clearly the play. 100 Thieves know that. The TP coming through from Xander from the shadows that was cancelled on C-Long, spotted them. They hear the noise in Garage, and now the plank coming through.
So much
Great
damage.
shock dart. A lot of damage done. And a follow-up by Chichu. This is looking doable. They'll even put the Hunter's Fury in, starting to believe, but perhaps they shouldn't. Asanas behind, and he takes the picks easily. 100 Thieves, you know, you can see that even with the Hunter's Fury, EDG believed for a second, but that belief quickly faded away.
That might be one of the funniest Neon ults ever, because he was already behind him. He was already behind him. He was already dead. The only thing that did was alert him. He was there. It's like, wait, what are you?
Well, he found a pick just before as well, so they're probably calling it out. He sat there as Sova going, oh, I'm not long for this world.
The shock dart from EU as well, though, just absolutely destroyed. But what?
What?
The ZJC one wasn't even a headshot. He didn't headshot him. Like that.
He was low for the
the shock dart
destroyed
got him low, and then just was like I feel like you could make a highlight reel of just straight BS kills from things are going. And EU just frying 12 and 5, 11 and 3.
This is the scary thing as well. 100 Thieves obviously on form, but for EDG, very similar to what we saw in that previous game that they played. Oh, Hunter's Fury pick.
Okay.
Damage done as well. You know, EDG up against
they're destroying them. Like, this is a buy round. They're just running it down. They've already got a Hunter's Fury kill. They got a kill to the play. They're in spawn, Mitch. The EDG are cowering in spawn.
Straight off a timeout as well. And what I'm saying, like, up against Gen.G got wrecked in the same fashion. It was an early start that looked okay, and then a commanding lead, and it looked like they didn't have anything to say in those rounds from, what, round 3 onwards, essentially. Here, they get a 3-1 start. It's now 6-3. They're being dominated in almost every fight that 100 Thieves are going for, sometimes with utility, sometimes without. This time, a crossfire. Asuna gets ahead of it. And sure, a couple of picks come in. But look at how desperately low they are. Still 3 rifles on the other side. Still control of the map. Still got them boxed in with Boostio pushed up. This is like major deja vu for EDG.
Oh, there's no way they expect Boostio to be here, and they're both within a shot or two. Okay, I don't know how he's not hit that one. I feel like that one was almost as free as the next one. Fair enough, Boostio's not, you know, he's the leader, doesn't need to get kills. He'll leave that to Cryo and Xander to finish off. It is Kankan. If there's anyone you'd want here in this scenario, he would be the guy. He's gonna hear the steps of the clone running past, but it doesn't really tell him too much information. He's locked in the back corner, but the plant could suggest that maybe he's gone all the way back towards Long. The first onto Cryo. That's not bad, but he's not going to correct in time to find out onto Xander. It's a nice attempt from Kankan, but the round seemed dead from almost the beginning. Like, the way that they basically approached that round was just, okay, they've called a pause. They've tried something. Let's just Hunter's Fury and run it down immediately. And they had 2 kills in the first, first few seconds. Like, look, that was basically off the barrier dropping.
It was. Yeah, the first second that there was an opportunity for it.
It's JC again. It's the same guy. He's just spamming him through smoke.
Genuinely just need an Asuna package of every BS kill he's gotten so far. And this is the problem. Again, you look at Asuna, great game that he's playing here. He's 14 and 6 at the moment. EU delivering on the same level that he did in their opening matchup. But like I'm saying, for EDG, this is what this tournament has been for them so far. They played a BO1. They could be going out here now. Finally an opening pick. They need to have a commanding comeback into this half. 7-5 closeout. At least then, it's the best of a bad situation. The spark lit right at the end.
Yeah, they're good on the defense. I think they're just... I'm less worried so much about the direct scoreline and more so just the mana.
The context,
they're getting destroyed. And while managing to shut down Arsenal is a great start, He has been the bane of their lives, especially ZJC. He probably has a smile on his face just seeing that he's gone down. And maybe he won't get spammed through a wall or a smoke or something this round. And while the gamble so far from 100 Thieves is not the right one, 3 players towards that A side of the map. Drone might give them the information that they need. I think, yeah, they're going to start their push-up. But it is being watched.
Spike planted.
Deep play from 100 Thieves. Smoggy, like you said, watch him for this. They've sent back Chichu as well. They'll be covering that C walk up, but Xander still manages to get the pick. That pulls Smoggy in the other direction. ZJC filling in the space. Smoggy gets another. For the squad of EDG, they're now fully in control. The time ticking, backside B controlled there for them. Kankan spotted in the corner. But lurking in the back of their mind is Smoggy, and it's Kankan with the op shot to put it all onto EU. A standout player for them in their opener. A solid, reliable pair of hands here, but it's not to be. And a much-needed round for EDG Connected. They get the opening kill. They trade out along the way. And this is the important thing. Like you said, Tom, it's not about 7-5 as a scoreline. You come out and you go, oh, okay, well, that's workable. But the fact we were 3-1 up, and not only were they losing all those rounds so convincingly. I mean, EDG had no say. For 6 straight rounds, finally they're back with their hands on the reins.
Yeah, it was a bold call anyway. A glass cannon operator purchased up for Kankan, but we've said it before, we'll say it again. We know what this guy could do with the sniper. Put it in his hands, he can turn rounds. Now we even have a little bit of extra spice of life. He'd managed to find the kill with the Vandal, but this is all just to make sure no one can push, and it hasn't worked. Finally, Cryo will be able to at least get the trade, but even still, again, Arsenal being down is not bad for EDG. That does feel like a worthwhile trade out, and now they're going to try and pincer down on it. It's not pretty, though, from nobody.
I don't mind him pushing up in that space. Yes, he's alone, and it was a 4v4, but the B space has been left open by 100 Thieves so many times that the contact play seems worth it. But with him going down, now the players are left with a disadvantage. Moving back into this C site, the space has been filled in. Cryo was towards the A site, but now they've got numbers ready and waiting. An easy pick. A good trade, though, by Smoggy keeps them in it. Rolling Thunder still online. They might use this a bit more aggressively to try to take this control.
Maybe you'd expect them to almost try and challenge the spawn. They are going to try and challenge the spawn, but they don't realize that they've already lost too much control. It's going to be left now just to Smoggy. Well, Thunder doesn't even give him a second's notice. See, he looks like he's washing his hands of them.
No, this really is a confident display from 100 Thieves. 4 rounds, it's not the end of the world, but the max in a while.
I think the pace is going to be stopping.
Certainly pays off as they managed to stop the initial push. The C-side play, though, stun was perfect. It actually stopped Chichu, kept him in the corner, so they can't fully get that space back. But Smoggy up on top of those logs, able to grab himself a double, a triple, in fact, and EU will quickly be dispatched. A much-needed pistol round landed for EDG.
Yeah, that's their lifeline found. It would feel pretty brutal for this map to slip away after that first half from 100 Thieves, but the fact is, getting those early rounds has been enough to sort of put EDG at least into a position where this map can become competitive. I like that, though. It seemed like they had a good read on what 100 Thieves were going to be doing in the pistol. Like having that initial 3-player stack up over on B, having the quick switch to C once that hit failed. It definitely looked like they were ready in a big round, more so from Smoggy. 100 Thieves not deterred, though. If at first you don't succeed, try again.
I'm out of here.
Well, this time it is left a little bit more open. So much so, the plan's going to come through for 100 Thieves.
Spike planted.
Even getting out of there, outlaw shot not going to land, and they're going for aggressive push towards A main. Oh, goodness. The Akon overrun, but the site has been taken back. A full rotation here from Asuna. And Smoggy so late coming back from A that he will catch them off guard. EDG seem to have this one easily across the line. And it's 4 players alive as well. The question was, would there be any more damage? Chichu 21 HP, Kankan 56, but those weapons are brought through to the next.
Yeah, they got everything they needed. The low HP, okay, sure, you might have to rebuy some shields, but it ultimately becomes irrelevant, and it gives them that opportunity once again to try and get something done going into this bonus round. But yeah, you look at the buy rounds overall, and that is where we saw 100 Thieves have the majority of their success.
One enemy remains.
1-2 punch of Arsenal and EU being the difference makers, but Smile's still there on Kankan's face, and that you know, it fills you with confidence. It's the same when you see that for someone like Chronicle. You just go, I think they're going to be okay.
We've already had the trap destroyed on C. Shock dart sent through by EU has broken that and left the cam as the only real piece of information they have to work with. 2 players spotted and through the cage. Kankan's gone down. EU's a menace when it comes to these spams. And another down by 100 Thieves. Busio lurking over on the A site, grabs himself a double, and this round is done and dusted before it even gets off the ground. EDG have come crashing down.
Yeah, this now comes down to how much nobody wants to put into this. Of course, they do have some credits for the next round, but
Go, go, go!
saving the gun might hold a little bit of extra value. I think he's been spotted as well.
I'm out of
They
here!
want to try and remove this gun, but also don't want to throw too many of their own away. So it kind of comes down to just being clever about it. I like the dart just coming over the top of the map. He's having to fall back, but I think with how much time, how many angles would need to be cleared, there's a good chance that nobody's going to be able to hold onto the gun.
Yeah, by now, there's no chance, but another round for 100 Thieves. The question is this going to be right back to winning ways? The streak of rounds that they found in the previous basically locked EDG out of it. But this one's got to be frustrating. The lurk on A gets great value, but here it's all about spams. Okay, Cryo actually got a little bit of a glimpse of the player before taking him down through the smoke. And that prompted this full A push as they go for the rotate through their opponent's spawn. But Busio's there waiting for them. It's got to be frustrating, though, just the amount of times. Like, Asuna has been hyper-aggressive. He's been supported by utility most of the time. EU has found so many kills through walls, through smokes, through just spams. The same shock dart fired through here, and it will be one trap down, but this time they've left one a bit more passive, attempting to punish that slide in.
This also, they've just given up the site completely. But you've got this super aggressive push through middle that just wasn't caught. Xander was not prepared for that sort of a swing. EDG trying to almost match the level of aggression we saw in the last half, but with a completely different set of abilities to back it up. And 100 Thieves have decided, okay, we don't want to get picked apart here. Let's group up, move around as a squad. At worst, we try and get a trade. At best, if we can find one of these players, maybe we can level things up. Going through the spawn is an interesting piece, though. They're just trying to avoid all the extra utility. The drone isn't going to find them. So as of right now, EDG are clueless to where they've gone, although Kankan has the right idea. Oh, just misses the timing on it.
But now they know it's going to be an A-side play. A very unusual round. 4 players from the attack and spawn, 5 players from the defense, basically making a column over on Garage. You don't normally see map control like that. And 100 Thieves read it perfectly, even with that push up through mid. Not the initial one, but the second one, and how they were being held, the wrap through spawn. On site now, Kankan wins that. Stunned up, but he's still good for the fight. And it all goes crumbling down for 100 Thieves. That win streak that we saw in the first half, not likely to be replicated here. EU will find nothing. And EDG, 5 players alive. It's a flawless round to put them 9-7.
Yeah, I think the great thing there from EDG is you see what happens when they're actually able to set up. Because that was the main problem with that first half, is they were being bullied and battered and bruised before they even got to make their own set play. This one was a little bit slower from 100 Thieves, and because of that, you then get the setup retake. You get those extra supported pieces of utility, you get them moving as a unit, and that's where EDG play their best Valorant. A 7th round onto the board. Similarly to the last half, it's that 3-1 start, and that was where it all came crashing down. So seems like we are going to have ourselves maybe just a small moment. Kankan's already for North America, but we'll see. 100 Thieves still in a good spot right now. And a 4-player stack up of that right side of the map. In fact, even Smoggy starting to rotate away from C. I guess they're sort of expecting that it's either going to be that fast-paced initial battle, and if it's not, well, then they might as well just play the retake, because they have got this one completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they heard the cam get placed on A, that they heard a fake TP put in. That's about it off the top of my head. I don't know what 100 Thieves have done to fully sell that fake, but a free C site claim, a plan secured. Boostio taken out. In towards Garage. As EDG look to flood back in, they're already thinning the herd quite nicely. Cryo steps up to a triple, and it's a 2v1 now with nobody left alone. Cryo needing a 4K to take this across the line, and he's gonna commit that TP. Making his way off the site, buying a little bit more time. The smoke fading, he's being caught, but that actually confirms that the defuse isn't underway. Just now getting the half, nobody spotted as he gets right back on that defuse, and a 4-piece for Cryo puts 100 Thieves up to 10.
Yeah, very well played from him. The thing is, you look at that initial setup, like it does feel like the retakes from EDG are very strong. Already managing to, I think it was Smoggy catching out Boostio, and then the quick swing from Kankan giving them that man advantage, but Cryo was just a force to be reckoned with, just making sure that nobody was getting back out from that connector, from the double doors, and then in the 1v1 at the end. Okay, it got a little dicey for a second where they doubted the smoke, but the second it came down to that tap, he was ready and raring to go. Operator in for Kankan. I mentioned it. It's always a difference maker on this defense, but he is in the wrong place at the wrong time in back-to-back rounds.
Yeah, the A side's just been overrun again. Chichu, he's going back out. He's looking for the fight, and the information on the back of it, well worth it. The fact that he gets out of there without being punished is huge. Hunter's Fury put through, good tag, and the follow-up is there. Cryo down. EU left all alone. He's being flanked out, reads it, but can't land the shot. Well handled, and EDG, they're not letting this one slip without a fight.
It feels like both teams had that sort of like switch flip in their head where they go, am I showing these guys too much respect? And I think that round from Chichu was exactly that. He goes, they may have the A site, but I'm going to swing and just take one of them out and get all of the information. So it allowed them to take that full mid control. They then did a lot alongside that sort of Hunter's Fury, and while the Arsena's swing out this time, it looks a little bit ridiculous when you watch it back.
So much committed. I like that. Yeah, exactly as you said, Tom. Just Chichu going in deep for that pick, waiting then for Asuna to go pushing. I think he was 30 HP, and he manages to find a second. It's a great round from him. And I like to see EDG feeling that little bit more confident, because that was my fear. You know, losing to a team like 100 Thieves, or vice versa, going down to EDG, it's fine. But for EDG, that opening against Gen G, they got crushed. They looked deflated. And you don't want to see them, after that first half, I was worried we would, go out in that same fashion. Here, they've started to find their form again. A timeout call by 100 Thieves to correct that.
But this is where it really does get scary for 100 Thieves. It's clear to see that this defensive side is definitely better for air or have towards middle, but just look at the purchase. That's all you...
what?
That's all you really needed to know. It's not all you need to know. What you need to know is somehow they got 2 opening picks with a Sheriff and a Classic, and now throwing in their ultimates to try and turn this round into a win.
Well, they've got rifles to play with, or they did. Asuna's been dropped. That's the rifle on the floor. Soon to be recovered, perhaps. And it's Boostio to pick it on the way out, but he has immediately dealt with the Blade Storm of Kankan. Now the Operator in play. And it's only a Classic spamming through. EU tries to get them from the side, but no chance. They did very well to find those opening picks, but when push comes to shove, EDG are the ones coming out on top. 10-9, one behind after an abysmal first half.
Yeah, this really is just quite an odd scenario where you see a Classic and a Sheriff win 2 fights versus 2 rifles in middle. I'm not really sure how that managed to go their way, but then the way that they come back into it, like none of the guns were actually retrieved by the attacking side, and then it's just trying to play post with much, much weaker weapons. Kankan now taking the lead in terms of the kills. That Operator, ever present in his hand, he is so good that you almost feel like you need that sort of old school 100 Thieves strat. It's not avoid CNED, it's avoid Kankan.
They've done a good job of it so far.
Have they? He's got the most kills.
Yeah. You look at the scene. Typically, they're going to the opposite side of where he is. The gamble's paying off.
They avoid him for a bit.
But it's kind of hard to avoid him on a retake. If he's not there, you wonder what the hell he's doing. Asuna good on the Chichu. Go! He's good for another two. Sliding around with the shorty in hand. And he's going for more.
All right.
All right. He's doing. Asuna good on. It's kind of hard to avoid him on a retake. If he's not there, you wonder what the hell he's doing. Asuna good on the Chichu. Go! He's good for another two. Sliding around with the shorty in hand. And he's going for more. All
right. All right.
That's
Okay.
ridiculous. The confidence certainly back in Asuna's body. What was that?
I feel like he goes into flow state.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine that anyone's brain is ticking that quickly that he's like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna pick this up, I'm gonna go with the shorty, I'm gonna pick up the op, I'm gonna then go for a no scope. Like it's just like my eyes can't keep up with what he's doing. So I think he is just, it's like he's entered the matrix, and then yeah, it's like going for a sliding no scope at the end.
It'd be different if like he didn't have a rifle, but he intentionally picked up an op and went, I'm gonna slide in a no scope this guy. Like the confidence you need to pull that out in what is now a very close game. If this was the end of the first half, it'd be like, oh well, you know, he's been frying, so they're in a very dominant spot. A timeout called here by EDG. And this is what I was saying as well, where like Kankan's impact, even looking at the attack side, the only round they won after that 3-1 lead was opening pick by Kankan, and then map control played after. In terms of his defense, it's been very hard for him to find those opening picks,
Yeah.
because they've never gone to him initially. And I'm not sure if they somehow know where he is, but the
I
gambles
hope they
paid off.
don't. I hope they don't know.
Wouldn't
We have
worry you.
bigger problems. But no, I think it has just been the right place again.
On that op, that doesn't. Problem is, again, the op, the big investment is on the A site. No one is on the A site, with the exception of Boostio's being left behind to lurk out that space. But hold on. They took Garage, they looked for a C play, but now they come back in the other direction. Kankan waiting patiently, and he finds his reward. An opening pick, a second on the follow-up, a bold choice to continue trying to challenge. EU's got the spike. It would be brave. Indeed, he did end up swinging it after hearing the dash back. He'll creep up behind late. Asuna, EU, finding some. Boostio in there for a double. And now it's winnable for 100 Thieves. Kankan did what he could, but Chichu takes a double spray. Both headshots. We need that in the replay. I don't know how he got a double there.
The round ended so fast, I was like, he can't have won. Because it shouldn't
It's like,
be...
oh, it's a 1v1 now.
It shouldn't be possible, but no, he gets both headshots in the same spray. That's madness. Like, the way the round started, yeah, EDG probably should have won the round, but like... Oh my god, they even played it together. That's brutal. That's so brutal.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
What an unbelievable spray down. Kankan was sat there thinking, what more can I do, man? Double open and pick. Trying to carry them through, and in the end, they get there. Op saved, full economy, 11 to 10. That play right there just saved the game for EDG.
That'll keep you up at night. That's all I'm gonna say. That's a round that'll keep you up at night. If this round, this game, this map ends up going in the other direction. And while this time, they know where the Kankan op is, but I have a feeling that's by design. Yep, look at him. Look at him on the map. Immediately shoots 2 shots through the smoke and goes the other way. Because he's thinking, they're trying to avoid me. You could try and avoid Kankan, but he's in your head as well as you're in his.
But it has been the difference maker. Once he's there
Look
for
at him,
the
he's
opening
ready.
fight, once he's the one picking them off, they've been winning the rounds. And again, he'll be here. The first shot into a decoy. Now they know what they're facing. Asuna diving around. Cryo gets one, but immediately traded out. The Hunter's Fury chasing Kankan, but it won't delete him. But nobody falls. The numbers are back to a 3v3. The flank watch by EU could pay off dividends, with Chichu sneaking his way past the cage active, but that gives away his spot. Kankan from heaven,
30 seconds
making it
left.
difficult. This is where EU needs to move, and he's heard the steps. He knows that Chichu's here. This should be an easy equalizer. Xander looking the right way, had all the info to play with, and we're down to a 2v2.
Round that could end up deciding the map.
Last player
Oh,
standing.
it's the EU shot. I thought for a second that Kankan had managed to make that work, but he hasn't. And now left on to Smoggy. A man known for those high impact moments, but EU has discovered him. He knows that there's two angles that he needs to clear. Smoggy trying to find that second player, and he's just not quick enough. Xander is going to get them to 12. A game that started in fairly dominant fashion, but has quickly turned into a banger. 12 and 10, one more needed. And I think that economy-wise, it's going to be a little bit more interesting.
Be faster.
For EDG in this round. I'm not sure they'll be able to get the op.
It'll be a struggle, and what a blow that would be. Concon happy to even take it out glass cannon, and he's made all the difference with it. But yeah, look at that buy. It's miserable. Now, the ults are in their favor. That could buy them one extra round. That could get them into a better position to fight for this map, to fight for OT.
I have retrieved the spike.
Rolling Thunder and Hunter's Fury. But if it comes down to an opening duel with just the weapons in hand, they are not favored in the majority of those fights. The 100 Thieves, knowing that, obviously, they're just looking for a direct approach on C. Late play by Xander, watching the flank. Busio, your designated planter. He slowed, though, for a moment. They going back? Xander doesn't really have any space. It's not like he's been pushing up A. It's just passively spotting the mid and A pushes. There's a risk that someone's already pushed down mid, but the spike is gravitating back towards the other side of the map.
They're taking this slow, but it's a lot of time already gone. 35 seconds, and they've made the decision to go back towards this C site. Kankan in position. They're leaving this very, very late already. I think that's the Hunter's Fury going through. One player has made it in, and they have managed to, I believe, reveal that Chichu is on this corner. They know he's here, but he still wins the fight. 15 seconds, they've got to try and make that run, and in fact, they're going to go back towards the B site, right into the hands of Kankan, who's just waiting for them. And shut Chichu is on this corner. They know he's here, but he still wins the fight. 15 seconds, they've got to try and make that run, and in fact, they're going to... Hunter's Fury going through. One player has made it in very late already. I think that's the Hunter's Fury going through. One player has made it in, and they have managed to, I believe, reveal that Chichu is on this corner. They know he's here, but he still wins the fight. 15 seconds, they've got to try and make that run, and in fact, they're going to go back towards the B site, right into the hands of Kankan, who's just waiting for them and shutting them all down. 4 kills for Kankan, but it really feels like 100 Thieves have kind of fumbled the bag there.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the idea behind that round. You even see for a moment they wanted to go to the A site, and that was the right call. The site was wide open. A big gamble by EDG, sticking in position on C, thinking that they'll come back there eventually, and they did. Concon being able to push up mid to close this, I'm not even sure how necessary it was. They would have had to sprint into B, and even just a pick on the planter from Connector would have closed that one out. It's a really interesting round from 100 Thieves, and it feels like they just reached the point of desperation. They had to make a play, any play, and they gambled wrong.
I'll be honest, probably about 30 seconds left, I was like, okay, they've got to try and go for like a B play at this point. They've got no information other than they've sent one in, and that guy has gone, okay, there's at least a couple of players here. I think they even then got the reveal of the person in the corner. I'm just looking at it going, you're playing a bold game to try and make it through that smoke, and you know they have a Rolling Thunder. You know there's a Hunter's Fury because it's just been activated. I think they were just a little bit too late to make the decision. Bustio's trying to stare across at the opposition while being, I believe, given the orders by Zeeks, but honestly, this is not the spot you want to be in. Arsenal, they've been farming his ult up quite a bit, like giving him the orbs on C long, so that's going to be online alongside a Bucky.
Yes.
Bustio down to a pistol. He's not had the best game individually, so again, there's opportunities. I'm more worried about EU not having a rifle. That guy's been probably their best player.
Yeah, tough to wallbang with the Stinger, so...
Kankan after the 4K has decided, you know what, a rifle will do.
Yeah. If it works, it works. It certainly did for him. Overtime possible here for EDG. Asana's dove into that back site. Ult activated as Cryo gets traded out. Here's Asana's moment. What? And Concon to shut him down. An immediate reversal of the favor as 100 Thieves. We shut him. Ult activated as Cryo gets traded out. Here's Asina's moment.
What?
And Concon to shut him down. An immediate reversal of the favor as 100
I
Thieves.
know exactly
Weaker weapons for the most part. A man disadvantage. A paranoia that catches all three players. That's an easy dive in as all the control should be taken back. All three players. That's an easy and disadvantage. A paranoia that catches all three players. That's an easy dive in as all the control should be taken back. Some still inside the smoke and they're caught running out of it. Too slow to follow up on that paranoia. 100 Thieves. They get their vision back and they're right back to winning ways. 1-0. That round looked done.
I can't believe they closed it like that. Like the fact that that turned into a 2 versus 4 and then both players just hitting 2 taps in a matter of seconds. It looked like everything needed to be done by EDG have been done to take us to overtime. But in the end, it wasn't enough. They will head to their own map choice in a deficit as they've got to try and turn this one around.